everyone, and welcome back to a new video. Now, my name is Shawn, and let's chat about making absolute bank in real estate. Because if you don't know this, 9 out of 10 millionaires have their hands in the real estate cookie jar. Real estate is one of the best ways of making money. It's tried and true. The risk is relatively low if you know what you're doing. The ROI is amazing, and it's a phenomenal retirement plan if you start young and start building this wealth up and up. Problem is, most people can't afford to play the real estate investment game because the cost of play is super high. But today, I'm gonna be telling you how you can actually invest in real estate for only $100. So guys, this is actually not a clickbait video that a lot of people are probably thinking it is right now. It is not clickbait, 100% legit. There are ways you can actually invest in real estate without spending $200 to $300 plus $1,000 on buying a house to either flip or to buy and rent out. Plus, the method today is actually incredibly less time consuming and incredibly less stressful. All right, so those are two bonuses we're gonna be talking about today as well. And I'm also wearing my Hawaiian shirt because so many people think that a real estate investor or someone who's made a lot of money in real estate are just old dudes hanging out on a beach in Hawaii or a tropical place because they've got so much money and they're the ones dominating the real estate investment game, and that someone my age can't actually get into it. So that's a myth, and I'm gonna be showing you why that's a myth today, because essentially you can throw your money into a pot, it can be invested into real estate, and you don't need to have tons of money, guys. I'm talking about a REIT, an R-E-I-T, a real estate investment trust, okay? It is a phenomenal way to get in and invest your money in real estate properties, again, with only like $100. And there are actually other ways to invest in real estate without spending that $200,000, $300,000 that are not REITs. So I'm gonna go over exactly what a REIT is, how you can make money doing it this way, but there's also other ways that you can be making money in real estate that are not a REIT or not buying a home straight up. So I'd recommend you subscribe to this channel. I'll be making videos on those methods in the coming weeks. So again, subscribe if you're new around here. But okay, what's a REIT? Well, a REIT is essentially a company that owns, operates, or finances an income producing piece of real estate. AKA, it's essentially a massive company with loads of capital, loads of money that go in, buy a big property that cash flows, that makes them money, and pays it out to those people that have actually given them money to purchase that piece of land. So I'm gonna try to break this down a little bit more so you can get a full understanding. Think of it as a bunch of people, think of it as 10,000 people drop $100 into this pot, into this mason jar. So now there's tons of money into this pot. Well, this company takes this pot of money, goes down the street to this condo complex and goes, hey, we're gonna buy that piece of condo, we're gonna buy that development with all this money from all these people, and we're gonna start cash flowing on that property. So now there's 10,000 people that dropped $100 into this pot. That's $1 million of working capital that this company essentially can go to this condo and say, hey, look, we're gonna buy 10 units at $100,000 a pop. Here's the cash for them. We're gonna buy them. Now tenants are living in those condos, and now this company is making money from those tenants. So let's say these 10 condos that are $100,000 a pop each. Don't get lost with this math here, by the way. Let's say we've got 10 condos, they're $100,000 each, and they're each making, we'll call it $10,000 a year. So it's a 10% return on the money that was spent. So we've got 10 condos, right? So we've got $1 million project. That $1 million is generating about $100,000 a year. So then that $100,000 a year is then divvied up to all of those people who have essentially put that money up front to buy that condo. So $100,000 in profit from all of those condos divided by 10,000, because there were 10,000 people that threw money into the pot. That means that each person that year gets about $10. Doesn't seem like a ton, right? Well, it actually is a ton for literally doing nothing. A 10% return on your money that year is actually incredibly good, considering the fact that all you had to do was say, yeah, here's $100, go make me some money. To put things into perspective, almost all banks don't give more than 1.5% of the amount of money that you have saved with them. And stocks can really be an uphill battle if you don't know what you're doing in the stock market, because you might make a lot of money one day, you'll lose a lot of money the next day. Average returns that I've seen in the stock market from the average person investing in the stock market, if you're lucky, if you're in the green, it's gonna be anywhere from 4 to 8%. So again, Not a whole lot. A 10% return for literally doing nothing but clicking a button is pretty incredible. And if you're sitting there going, all right, well, this sounds pretty cool. How do I get started? How do I get started investing in a REIT? Well, the good news is that most REITs are actually publicly traded companies on the big stock exchanges. So essentially, go get set up with Robinhood. If you don't know what Robinhood is, I made a video. I'll leave a link down below. Robinhood is a great stock trading app that's totally free to use. So you can go ahead and download the app on your phone, get set up, drop $100 in there, and invest in any REIT that you want. Yeah, I mean, literally as simple as that. If you wanted to invest in a REIT right now, it would probably take you from start to finish 5 minutes. Step number one, you got to go download Robinhood on your phone. Step number two, you got to link some sort of account or some sort of income stream that you have to Robinhood so you can actually drop some money in there. Now that you've got money in there, you want to go on Google, maybe search, hey, which REIT should I invest in? They've all got specific niches, and some will invest in like strip malls, some will invest in condos, some will invest in retirement homes. So just pick one that you think is going to do really well or that you like. And maybe look at some that are in your local area, because it'd be kind of cool to be like, hey, you see that condo complex right there? I own 1/10,000th of that place. I know, it's whatever. But no, once you've got your Robinhood, once you got your money in your Robinhood account, once you've got the REIT you want to invest in, you literally go to that stock in Robinhood and go, yeah, all right, I've got $100. How much can that buy me? You hit the buy button and you're literally done. 5 minutes. Could not be simpler. Go check the link in the description on how to get set up on Robinhood and why it's so great. But I know a lot of you are probably sitting there going, well, Shawn, what's the catch? I mean, if it was this good and this great and everyone could be doing it, then why isn't everyone doing it, and why is it still returning a big percentage on my money? Well, there's a catch. Of course, there's always a catch if something is too good to be true, because like anything in life, if it is incredibly good, there's usually a downside to it, or else, if it was 100% good, again, millions would be doing it, and then it wouldn't be that good anymore. So the downside, well, there's two main downsides to investing in a REIT. Number one, and it's usually the most important factor that most people look into, is the fact that you're not going to be building any equity in these properties as you're investing in them, as you would with a traditional property. So if I went and actually bought this condo outright, I'd buy it for $100,000. I'd be making my 10% on it every year. But then in 10 years, when I go to sell it, it's probably going to be worth like $150,000 or $160,000. So then I sell that and I make an additional 60 grand when I sell that property. With a REIT, you don't really get that. So sure, after 10 years, you can sell your stock and your interest in that REIT, but you're really not going to be making any money on that, which kind of leads me into my second major reason why it's not as good as a traditional form of investing in real estate, is because the stock prices on these REITs basically stay the exact same. Sure, they might go up or down 5 to 10% over a few years, but they're really not going to be going upwards. And on the bright side, they're typically, depending on the company, they're typically not going to be going downwards. And this leads into my second major reason why it is a downside in investing in REITs, is because you don't get paid like a traditional stock, to where, if the stock goes up, you're like, sweet, I'm going to sell this, I'm going to cash in on the money that I've earned. Not necessarily. REITs are actually paid in dividends. So instead of you, again, making money off the stock price going up or down, you're actually making money based on dividends. So you're getting paid dividends every single quarter. Now, why is it a downside to actually be getting paid in dividends versus the other way? It's actually because on dividends, you have to pay taxes on it. And we're not talking like property taxes or some other type of taxes. We're talking income taxes. So depending on which tax bracket you actually fall into, you could be giving up a third or a quarter of all money made from your REIT just to taxes. So that kind of sucks. There's really no way to avoid that either. You can kind of finagle your taxes and your income, but with a REIT, you really can't, because it's dividends paid to you. So those are kind of the major two differences with buying a REIT. You're not building any equity. Again, sure, you can sell that stock and pretty much get your money back after you're done kind of investing in that. But you're not really going to be cashing in big time as you would with a traditional real estate investment. And then two, you're getting paid with dividends, so you're getting taxed on it. So really that, you know, 10 bucks that you would have made that year, it really goes down to maybe, hey, I made 7 bucks this year, or I made, you know, 7.50, which is still not bad. It's still a pretty good return on your investment. But again, instead of 10%, you're kind of looking at maybe a 7% return. So to sum it all up, I always like to tell people, think of a REIT as you trading money right now to have that money pay you quarterly. So if you're sitting there going, all right, well, you know, I've got 10 grand that's just sitting in a savings account. I really don't need to be using it for a while. I could roll it into maybe an IRA, or I could roll it into just a money market or something like that, or a CD or something. There's a lot of ways you can kind of save up your money. But if you're like, I'm really not going to be using it and I kind of want a decent return on it, then you can take that 10 grand, you could throw it into a REIT, and that REIT will basically just pay you quarterly on that money. So you might as well be getting paid quarterly for basically doing nothing, just having your money parked somewhere, opposed to just have it kind of sit there and not really make you any money. And then again, the bonus or the upside is when you no longer want those dividends paid to you, you just basically sell off your REIT and you go grab that money and do whatever you want with it. So really a REIT is for someone who doesn't have the time, doesn't have the money, or doesn't have the knowledge to actually invest in the real estate game. Because again, everyone knows investing in real estate makes you tons of money, but most people either don't qualify or just can't play the real estate investment game. So if you really want to get into real estate and cash in on those high returns, I highly recommend that you just go invest in a REIT. Take you 5 minutes and you'll be getting some serious returns for literally doing nothing. And the last thing I'll leave you on with this video is the fact that I've actually got some money in a REIT right now. I only make about 100 bucks a year off the REIT, which is nothing crazy, but that 100 bucks that I make gets rolled directly into my investment portfolio. So now I'm adding $100 a year into my investment portfolio for literally doing nothing. And then when I no longer want that 100 bucks, I'll just cash in on the money that I put in on that REIT, probably roll that entire thing into my investment portfolio once it's actually rolling and making me more money. So it does make sense in some cases, and it could make sense to you if you've literally got nothing invested, you don't have a whole lot of money, and you're like, hey, I just want to get my feet wet. I want to get started with this. What should I do? A REIT, real estate investment trust. Simple yet effective way. Hopefully you learned something new. If you did, please smash that like button. Again, check the description and check out Robinhood if you want to get started in a REIT, and do some Googling for which REIT you want to actually do. But most people don't know about REITs, and that's why I wanted to make this video, because a lot of people think if you want to invest in real estate, you're going to need tons and tons and tons of money. You really don't, and you can actually cash flow pretty well if you find the right property. Again, I'm an Arizona mortgage guy, so I do stuff like this all the time. I'm big into real estate. I want to know your feedback though down below in the comments. Is this something that you think you would be interested in, but doing a REIT? Or if you're like, no, the traditional way is way better, I think I'll just try to save up my money and do that. Up to you. Leave me a comment down below either way. Subscribe if you're new around here, guys, and until next time, I will see you in the next video.